Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Thankful Thursday edition of JoCo Vibes here on JoCo Community Radio. I'm Tiffany Carlen with Nona Reed. Good morning, Nona.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
It feels good outside. It's going to cool down, and we've got an amazing guest in studio to start off our day, Mr. Mike Mizel. Good morning.
Good morning.
He is running for Johnson County Judge.
That I am, yes.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, I think.
I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because
Sure.
running for office is not for the weak. And it most definitely can have its challenges in itself. And I do have to say, I'm really impressed with everybody so far because this has been a very clean race from what we're seeing from the outside. I don't know if you're experiencing something different, but from what I'm seeing, it's been at least cordial, it seems.
No, it really has. The interesting thing is I tell people all the time, I'm running for a position, not against someone.
Yes.
And that's really how I approach this. It's not about me versus them. It's about me feeling like I'm the best candidate for the position. And so I'm not in a competition with them.
Well, let's dive right in right there. What makes you the best candidate for county judge here in Johnson County?
Well, I think for me, I have a quite diverse background. I grew up in Alabama. I went off into the military, served in the United States Air Force. From there, moved to Texas. Worked for the city of Irving. I was an environmental health inspector, which included minimum housing, environmental issues, zoning. So I got very familiar with, in fact, I led the region for the emergency management for the Code Enforcement Association of Texas. From there, I actually started pastoring our church in Cleburne in 1993 and took a small church, and just through leadership and organizational skills, we've been able to grow to a really impactful church in our community. In 2012, I believe it was, or 11, I don't remember the exact year, I became the director and CEO of the North Texas District Disaster Response Network. So anytime there is a natural disaster or a man-made disaster in the North Texas region, spanning from Abilene to Louisiana, Red River down to Livingston, then I mobilize our teams and we go out and we do disaster relief networking with federal government, local government, tribal government, just all of these people to bring care to those who are suffering.
Do you work with the Stanfords at all? With Jimmy and Jamie?
I've run across them. We've not actually had the pleasure of working together, but I do a lot with the Salvation Army, Convoy of Hope, Samaritan's Purse. These are national agencies that we have partnered with. Mercy Chef is a great one that we've worked with before. So
very good. So did you head out to Louisiana after the hurricane?
We coordinated teams. I didn't go. I did not go, but we had teams that went down there. So what I would do is when something were to happen, again, my geographical boundary is North Texas, but we do have people that respond and that want to respond elsewhere. And so what I do is I usually work the phones and I coordinate, obviously when you deploy, you need a place to stay and you need some food, you need to know how all that's going to take place. So I usually try to get everything set up for my teams when they deploy. We did a lot of work in Harvey. I was serving at that time on the Dallas County VOAD. I was on the executive committee. So, we sent teams, I coordinated teams, pods, which is points of distribution, in South Texas while I was up here in North Texas. Now I did lead a couple teams down into the Beaumont area, Corpus Christi area. We spanned the whole path of that storm. It was east side was flooding, the west side of the storm was mainly wind damage,
right?
And so we had a very diverse team there. So I've been in executive and organizational leadership for over 30 years, and so I think that really gives me I know how to get things done. I know how to build partnerships with, when I was in Irving, being able to, as an inspector, one of the things that you would have to go out and inspect properties obviously for code violations and things. And I was always looking for solutions that were non-typical. One incident I remember is an elderly lady that was written up or was called in on a particular violation, went out there and she was in violation of a couple state laws and a couple ordinances. But the thing was, she was a widow. She had no resources to be able to mitigate that situation. And so my proposal, what the protocol was, is to write the citation. but I didn't think that that was fair because she was just not able to comply. And so I went back to our director and I said, "Hey, I'd like to go out and get some community teams, whether it be through church, faith-based groups or community-based groups, and let's go help this lady out." And he said, "Well, that's kind of not what we normally do, but if you're wanting to do that on a Saturday, your day off." And I said, I'll be glad to do that. So we were able to pull together a network of teams, and that kind of built a mindset that, when it comes to solving things, your activism, getting people in the community, to the stakeholders, to be able to speak into that. And it worked perfectly. And, to my knowledge, that type of activity still goes on in Irving today.
So what, I'm kind of looking at your resume at the same time as listening to you talk, and the disaster response team that you lead, is it under the government realm, or is it a standalone?
It's an NGO.
It is an NGO.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that answers that question for me. Where is your church?
It's in Bethel. It's in Cleburne.
It's in Cleburne.
Yes.
Okay. And you've been pastoring that church for how many years now?
July will be 29 years.
29 years.
Yeah,
Oh
I've been
my
here a
gosh.
long time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I know it says that you've been in the area for 25, but you've been in Texas how many years?
Since 1990.
Yeah, you've been here a long time.
I've been here a long time.
You're Texan.
I am,
What'd you say?
except in football season.
I understand that. I completely do, because I'm from New Jersey. So
Oh, okay.
So I get it. I completely get it. Talking about these county issues and running for county judge and seeing a need for change, what was it? Is there one specific thing that you experienced or saw that said, okay, it's time for change, and I think that I can make a difference? What was that for you?
For me, it's the interaction with the citizens. Everywhere I've traveled throughout the county during this almost a year of campaigning now, I've met people that say the same thing, that they feel like no one cares, that the government doesn't care, it's non-responsive to the citizens. And whether that's true or not, I mean, that's the perception, and of course a person's perception is the reality. And I wanted to change that. I'm a people person. I love people. My entire adult life has been about serving people, and I would be described as what you would call a servant leader. I get down there in the trenches. I look for solutions that are sensible and are reasonable, and I just felt like I could bring that level of compassion to the county government. I really think it's important for the county government to reflect the values of the county. And the only way for that to happen is that the voices be heard. And I've talked to younger generations who feel disenfranchised when it comes to governmental issues because they feel like, what's the use? I mean, like, for instance, we're in the early voting stage right now. And a lot of them, their posture is, why should I vote? Because nothing changes. And I understand there is an entrenched system. I've run across that in my campaigning. There is a system that is resistant to change to some degree. And I really feel like that that's what was my motive. I wanted to go in there, number one, represent my faith. I'm a man of values, a man of integrity. I believe that if you speak something, it ought to be truth. And if you speak it, you ought to fulfill it. And I want to build that bridge between government and the local citizen so they can have a voice.
That seems to be a common denominator between all of the candidates who are running for county judge. Actually, I'm hearing it from even the precinct commissioners candidates as well. Is it the lack of communication from the commissioner's court, from the county level to the people? It's non-existent. So most people don't know that you can actually watch online and watch the commissioner's court meetings. And so what are your ideas and thoughts on how to bridge that gap? How do we get that communication from you as a county judge, should you win the spot, to the people and to the cities? How do we create that?
Well, so when I win this election,
I love it. See it, believe it, receive it.
He said that last night too.
So here's the thing. Have you ever watched one of the online?
This is where I fail. I'm very, very much participate on the city level. I did not know you could watch the commissioner's courts online.
Found that out.
And had I known, I
In our
would. Now I know
interviews.
it's going to be it's a it's a lot bigger commitment to watch them because they're a lot longer.
Right.
But I want to. Now that I know that I can, I'm going to, because I live out the county, I don't live in the city.
Sure.
So there's city issues that do affect me, but it's the county issues that affect my home.
Right. Right.
And so that's very important to me. I want to know what's going on. And of course, as you know, and it's one of your issues, I mean, the appraisal district is killing us.
Right. Right.
So those are the other things we have to fix too.
Well, in communication, again, the only reason I ask you if you've watched the videos, they were quite laborious to watch. So if you're looking for an issue that maybe has gone before the commissioner's court, it's tedious to try to find that information. I think the commissioner's court meeting should be streamlined. I also believe, so commissioner's court is held on a Monday, usually at 9 a.m. when most people are at work.
Yeah,
And so it
heard.
becomes a very difficult, and again, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, for most people who are working and dual income families, it's very difficult to be able to go to these meetings and maybe let their voice be heard, because they do have public comment section. And if there's an agenda item, you're able to address that during the meeting. I think that, you brought up the CAD and the taxes and things like that. I truly believe platforms like this is one of the mechanisms that we can use to bridge that gap. I mentioned to someone recently that they were talking about the property tax issue, and I said, well, that's a state thing, really. I mean, the state dictates those issues. I said, but what I think we can do from a county perspective, and as a county judge, when a bill comes up before the House or Senate or the Congress down in Austin, we ought to be able to reach out to the local communities. My heart would be to reach out to the mayors of the local cities and say, hey, there's a bill that's coming up. Let's do a town hall meeting type thing and do something for those interested. There's two sides to the coin. There are some people just not interested. So you'll have people that'll just rubber stamp. If they vote, it'd just be, whoever has the most signs or whatever, which is really ridiculous.
It is.
I think you need to research, but I think going into the communities, using the available, there's so much technology to be able to communicate with people and get that information disseminated to where they're informed. Doing town halls. When is the last time the county has held any type of public forum to be able to communicate what's going on? And that would be something that I would want to change pretty quickly. Is we've got to, again, if I don't know the values of the community, then the decisions that the five of us make in the commissioner's court will be the values that we hold. And I think that's wrong for five people to pretty much say this is what we're going to do in the county. I think we need to have stakeholders voicing their opinions and letting their voice be heard.
Do they take online speaker cards during the live session?
I doubt it. I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't know that for sure, but
Okay.
I don't think so.
I'm going to look into it. It's definitely something that the city at the city level they went to during the pandemic because people obviously weren't coming in, and it seemed to work. And then they had to kind of control it a little bit better because it got out of hand. But things were a little out of hand here in Burleson during the elections.
Sure.
So it got a little crazy here, and and like you said, there are platforms like ours. We're really proud to have a radio station that serves all of Johnson County and beyond. You can hear us all over the country, all over the world, actually. So, and what I like about that is that we can bring our issues outside. People start paying attention to and go, oh, they're doing that in their city. They're doing that in their county. So people start to communicate even more, and it brings other communities together. So Johnson, JoCo Community Radio is for all of Johnson County, even though we're located in Burleson. And so we're trying to bridge that gap and to make sure that communication is happening. And we'd like to have the commissioners and the county judges at this table more often, and the mayors from all of the different cities to sit and talk about the issues and what's going on. If we're not communicating, just like you said,
right.
How do you know what there is to change? How do you know what the problems are? And that comes down to, are the commissioners going out to the people? I've never heard from my commissioner. So those are things that I hope that you can change when you win. I'm putting that out there for you too.
I receive it.
That's all we can do. If you have questions, please, and you're watching online, please feel free to put them in the comments so Mike can answer them for you. What else is it that you believe you can help? I don't like to use the word control, but as a county judge, what else is it that you can help guide to make a difference on the county level?
Well, I think there's a number of issues. With my experience in disaster relief, I have a graduate degree in emergency management. So that's by education. I'm an emergency manager. One of the things that I think would be important is to have a master plan. With all the development going on in Johnson County, we need a plan. We need to look at the infrastructure that's going to be required to sustain and support all of these developments that's coming into Johnson County. We don't have that. I think we need a comprehensive plan. Things like flood management, flood control, roads. There are things that we need to be looking at and forecasting. I mean, we have a growth pattern. There are places that are growing, and we can look at that, and we can develop a plan. For me, the couple issues that are important to me beyond the restoring the bridge between the citizen and the government is the employee morale. I think that kind of goes hand in hand. Obviously, the rapid growth of the community is a big concern, and I think we need to address by a comprehensive plan. And that would be one of my first orders of a business would be to be able to get a comprehensive plan so that we can plan our growth and be very sensible about it. Johnson County is a unique county, and I think that somebody asked, how do we maintain that uniqueness? Well, there are ways to do that, and having a comprehensive plan is one of those ways. Employee morale would be another one, because I think that the customer service side of it, if a citizen walks in there, and again, I hear it all the time. I'm a pastor. I have a nice sized congregation. I hear people talk about going into the county office or whatever level of government. It really doesn't matter. And they feel like they're bothered, like they're interrupting something, or that they're put off because we're there to get a service. My motto in my campaign is putting service back in public service. And I really believe if our employees are valued and respected, then their customer service is going to be better, and the experience between the taxpayer and the government is going to be better.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's idealistic, but I really believe that. I've seen, I've seen the customer service be. I mean, you think about like a Chick-fil-A. One of the things that's so attractive about them is the fact that they treat you like you're valued. I mean, you order something and you say thank you, and they go, "My pleasure."
And they've come
it's
up with a lot of new ways to make your drive-through quick and easy too. So
it's a trickle-down effect. There's no one there. I was just checking. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you paranoid. Look over your shoulder.
Well, my fan base lining up out here.
I'm waiting for the next guest too.
That's what I was checking for.
Sorry.
But it's a trickle-down effect, and that happens at top management no matter what.
Sure.
We actually talked about this with one of the candidates for county clerk, and I didn't quite agree with something he said. To me, when you're at the top, you should know how to do every one of your employees' jobs, because someday something's going to happen and they can't come to work. We can't always rely on a coworker obviously they should be cross-trained no matter what, but at the top, you should know how to do your employee's job. Do you believe that same philosophy? I mean, it starts here, but it starts here. And I think when people look at the pyramid of, I don't want to say power, but leadership, people look to the top, but really it starts at the bottom.
Sure.
And so it's kind of hard if you're working your way up to it as a citizen, but truly the citizens are at the top of the leadership. And I think people forget that very much so. So I'll just kind of let you go from there.
Well, my last year with the city of Irving, when I was an inspector, I was chosen to be kind of farmed out to Arthur Anderson back when it was, they were doing their consultations and things of that nature. And what they were tasked to do by the city was to come in and look at the effectiveness of how we did business. And so what we came up with was, like, for instance, if there was one home or one business in Cleburne, in Irving, potentially you could have six different inspectors, six different city staff out there at any given, not at any given time, but through the course of whatever was going on. And so at the end of it, we felt like we need to cross train to where we can, again, we were looking at ways to cut the redundancies, the overlapping, and see if we couldn't come up with a more, again, we're dealing with taxpayers'
Right.
money. And I'm very sensitive, being a pastor, I'm very sensitive to how money is used. And so we looked at ways that we could cut the redundancies. And so we found that cross training our inspectors to be able to do other things. Now, some things are specialized and you couldn't, but for the most things you could cross train. And so one inspector could go out and actually do multiple things, thus saving the gas, the time, the manpower to send somebody else out.
Right.
So I do think that you need knowledge, and I do believe surround yourself with capable people. But I think that I think having knowledge of what goes on and being able to perform in the event of something happening, I think that's important.
We've got a question from the audience, and the question is, what is the hardest question you've had to answer during your campaign?
That is a good question. I've had quite a few questions asked, and for me, uh, and I know it's going to sound funny, but the hardest question was, what makes me different than everybody else? Why would I be a better county judge than everybody else? And that, number one, I don't like to talk about myself. I tried to put stuff on my website. Again, I'm not a professional politician. This is my very first campaign. There are a lot of things, nuances about it that I did not know going into it that I've learned during this process. But that probably was the most difficult question that I've ever been asked.
Do you find that anything during this campaign process made you rethink running for office?
Yeah. Again, I think there's an entrenched system, and I've run across some people that I've known for years, and because I decided to run, um, I've been looked at different,
Mm.
and that made me sad. Yeah, people you hear it all the time. Well, why do we continue to have the same system that we've always had? Well, people don't want to run, and I can understand that. I mean, again, I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for a position. I feel like that my temperament, my connectivity with people, my skills of doing that, I think would serve very well in helping to maybe heal some of the divide in the county. So um, yeah, there are some things that I kind of wish that, but I push through anyway. I mean, my mindset, my nature is to push through. I mean, obviously in the military, they push you to your limits and then some, and you just learn to grit your teeth and you move on.
What I like hearing from you and from the other candidates that have been at the table too is that, again, not paying attention to the county level of politics and what's going on is that we do have a greater divide in our county than people realize. And it's sad, but it's also enlightening because I know that I'm going to be paying attention more. And I hope that by bringing all of you to this table, that it brings more awareness to other people too, that, hey, we've got a problem here. It's not just on the city level where we have division, it's on a county level.
Yeah.
And that's a greater problem because we're all growing together in this county.
Whether you want to or not.
Right. It's happening. And so we have to get along with each other to figure out the right answers to how to do it responsibly. We've got a couple minutes left. I know you're obviously a great supporter of the Freedom to Worship Act. Coming from a disaster training and background as well, when you look back to the Snowmageddon from last year, where do you think the county, where do you think the line is drawn between service organizations providing the safety net and the help for the people versus the government?
It's kind of interesting. That's part of what the VOAD is all about. Now, VOAD is an acronym that stands for Voluntary Organizations Assisting in Disaster. So what that does is that, for instance, Dallas County, that's was the largest county that my group serves, again, from Abilene to Louisiana. And so I was a part of that. I was a member agency there. So what happens is in a major disaster like that, the county can call or the city can call the VOAD president, and at that, just one phone call, you have 50 agencies that are ready to deploy to serve the community. It's not left up to the government, and I don't mean this as a dig, but the government doesn't do anything well. It really doesn't. It's not known for its efficiency or effectiveness. But groups, Harvey, for instance, 85%, FEMA's report, 85% of the recovery work was nonprofits, NGOs, things like that. So I think that in a disaster like that, being able to call, we don't have a VOAD in Johnson County, which that's something I would like to change, because I know we have great EM and they do a great job, but being able to muster the various organizations and groups within Johnson County to respond in an instant, I think is invaluable.
All right, we're at 30 seconds. Mike Mizel, I'm sorry, go to Vote Mizel, vote MIZELL.com to learn more about Mike and to reach out to him personally to get more questions answered.
Yes.
Toilet paper under or over?
That's that important.
I'm an over guy. Yes.
We're so far at 100%
Yes.
over. I'd love to have you back at the table to talk about VOAD.
Oh, I'd love it.
Specifically.
Yes.
Much bigger conversations surrounding that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good luck.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good luck. And we'll be back after this quick break with Phil King.
Abnormal realities.
I love my mom.
Yep. She sent me a message.
My mom did?
Yeah, Wednesday night. And she invited me over tomorrow night to watch Titanic and share a bowl of popcorn. And I accepted.
You did?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
And she calls it Chaps Only Night. Every Saturday night.
Look.
Miss Dixie,
Look,
how you doing? He said, it's my mom, bro. All right, it's my mom.
I want to hear the answer to the Titanic and popcorn. Go ahead, Mom. What's up?
Oh!
Hi, boys. I
Hi,
just
Mom.
wanted to ask Rocky if he wanted butter on that popcorn or not.
I
my
would rather
God.
have the butter somewhere else, but if popcorn's the only place I can have it, I'll take it.
Jeez,
Hey,
dude.
nobody says I can't roll around in it for a little bit.
All right, Mom.
That is my
love
girl.
you.
I love you,
Mom.
Dixie.
Abnormal realities
My mom. Love you.
Dixie.
Bye. I love you too.
with Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Holy crap.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leech Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleburne, Texas. Leech Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Well, welcome back to the second half of JoCo Vibes here on JoCo Community Radio. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. JoCo Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen on the radio, go to tuneinjoco.com and download the free app. We're also streaming live simultaneously on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Spreaker, or you can shoot out and find any one of our shows on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and more. Check out our lineup at jococommunityradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more brought to you by I was going to say next level claims, but it's now Patriot Claims.
Patriots.
Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Hail happens, storms happen, wind happens, as we were just talking with Mr. Mizel about.
Mhm.
Disaster
Yes,
happens.
disaster
You've got to have
happens.
someone ready to advocate for you in your corner when that storm hits. Nona Collins Reed, who's sitting next to me here at the table, is your local Texas representative for Patriot Claims. Reach out to her at toll-free 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-TEX-HAIL. Get her in your corner before the next storm hits, because we know 99% of the time insurance does not want to pay the full amount of your claim. You got to have someone help you. So she's your girl to help you. Phil King's at the table with us now. Good morning, Mr. King.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for saying yes. I know you've got a crazy, crazy schedule. So our tiny little community radio station appreciates
So
seriously
appreciated.
that you were able to
Yes.
not just have to call in, but you were able to join us. And I'm glad we were able to shift our schedules around to
Yes, thank
accommodate you as well. So thank you so much.
Thank
You've had
you.
a busy morning already. You had a breakfast here and joined some gentlemen
We did.
at a table here. I hope you had a wonderful breakfast.
Yes, we did.
Where'd-
All's good.
Where'd you guys get to eat?
Where did we eat at? Rosas. Yeah.
Oh, Rosa's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Good breakfast.
so
too.
I know you got to meet a very interesting gentleman at that breakfast, who also breaks the glass ceiling as well, because he's not the typical guy that you would think would be hanging out with these guys at this breakfast. But I'm glad you got to meet
I think
him.
I know who you're talking about. Too.
I'm glad you got to meet him. So, so let's dive in. You've been, first of all, your family is absolutely beautiful.
Thanks.
I
And
know.
looking at your wife, and even the first time I was looking at pictures of y'all last week, and looking at her, I'm going, she has 16 grandchildren and 6 children. I mean, you guys look amazing, absolutely amazing. And to the fact that you're a politician and you look this amazing, it's a very stressful job.
Terry looks wonderful, no question about it. Yeah.
You both do, but you have a really,
Yes.
really beautiful family, 6 children.
Mhm.
Now, are they all still living and residing in Texas?
You know, yes, they are now. We had one out in California at Edwards Air Force Base for about 8 years, but they're all now, except for we've got, I'll call it Texas, it's Harris County. So Houston, we have one daughter down there. Everybody else is in the Parker County area.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yes.
You get them all around you. That's wonderful. So let's talk about SD 10. Senate District 10, it's a shift. How do you feel about the way the district actually shifted? If you were listening yesterday, your opponent described it as an upside down elf boot, I think is what leprechaun boot. How do you feel about the shift, though, of the districts?
Well, it's great. I mean, you had a problem where you only have 14.5% of Texans now living west of the I-35 corridor. And so when you're having to build a Senate district that's got almost required to have about 1 million people in it, you've got to reach outside of, you've got to reach out to those small counties because, you know, they're 5, 10, 15, 20,000 in population. And then they have to come in and pick up some population from a large urban area. And that's what happened here. It's a great district. It's got a lot of communities of interest. It is diverse in the sense that it's got urban Fort Worth and Arlington, and then I was in Shackelford County, which is 3,900 people day before yesterday.
Wow.
And so it's very diverse in that sense, but it's a great district. It'll be a Republican district this time too.
That's what it looks like it's shaped out to be, which I guess for Republicans in general,
It's a
good thing.
Yeah. Let's just be honest here.
It's what you're looking for. Let's talk about. Obviously, you've been in politics for 22 years, 24 years.
I've been in the House for 23 years.
For 23 years. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It is truly a service, and it's a sacrifice for you and your family in general to do that. So really appreciate that. Why the step to Senate? What's the interest for you there?
Well, I think the first question is why would anyone want to be in the legislature anyway? You know,
Right.
we're
Yes.
different. We're different than every other state because we're not a paid position. We want citizens legislators who have to come back, and we make $600 a month whether you're the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, or a freshman House member, freshman senator. And the idea is that you have to come back and raise a family and earn a living under all the silly laws and other things we put in place. And so I think that the Senate deal opened up. I've been very, very happy in the House. We've had a great experience, particularly this last year, got so much done. And but when this Senate seat opened up, much to my surprise, it was a very good fit. for me, kind of being in the center of the district. I was a police officer in Fort Worth for 15 years and grew up there. So we've lived in Weatherford since 1983. So I've been there for the fast growth. Parker County and Johnson County are virtually sister counties. They're dealing with the same issues constantly. But I think the most important thing was I wanted somebody to represent this new Senate district that understood the whole district. I didn't want someone from just an urban area that only understood urban issues. I wanted somebody that also had gone through fast growth areas, but also had been in a rural area. We were on a party line when we first moved to Weatherford. And so I wanted somebody that understood the difference between a 1A school district and a 6A, that understood the transportation and economic development issues that go on in an Albany or a Breckenridge, but also in a Fort Worth and Arlington, obviously Cleburne and Alvarado and Burleson.
Do you feel that the current Senate District 10 senator does not have that feel for it, or does the new landscape of the district change for her?
Well, right now it's a very urban, very Democrat district, all contained within Tarrant County. Of course, now it's going to take in Johnson, South Tarrant, most of Parker, all of Palapinta, Stevens, Shackelford, Callahan, and Brown counties. And it is a straight line west from here, basically to Brownwood. I think Beverly's a very nice person. I was very, very disappointed in her when the Democrats left the House this summer and abandoned us and went to Washington and hid out for a couple of months. She was the only state senator that actually went up there to encourage them, meet with the White House, and cheerlead them on. And I was deeply disappointed in that. I think we have very different perspectives on what is good for families, what's good for business, what's good for our communities. And I don't think she has the fit that really understands what is going on in Joshua with regard to faith, family values, all the things that we move to areas like that for. Now, at the same time, Arlington has its specific issues, and so does Fort Worth. And I'm very, very excited about getting to help and work on those issues as well.
Can you talk specifically about some of those issues within Arlington and Tarrant County, Fort Worth area that you want to help with, that people may not know about, that Beverly may have fallen short on addressing?
Well, I think we're one of the fastest growing areas in the entire country. And Texas is growing at 1,000 people a day. And almost all of those seem to be lighting within that I-35, I-45 triangle. And so I think Beverly approaches things from a more large government, a more liberal politics perspective. I'm always going to be someone who looks at it as a fiscal conservative, as someone who's focusing on what's best for the families, on education that we make sure is not just geared at teaching kids facts, but also teaching them how to think and teaching them how to be good citizens, and that's in terms of moral character as well, which is probably most important of all.
Right.
So I think we would just approach things from a very different perspective. She's going to have that Joe Biden, big government, far left progressive approach, and I'm going to have a very, I think, Texas values approach.
What do you see as a possible change when you win the district? I'm just going to put it out there for everybody at the table because it's just the best way to do it, to stay positive in that realm. What do you see that you can do differently that can help bring the State Board of Education together with our government and then together with the parents and the teachers to where we can start to make these changes within our school districts to bring proper education to our kids? Because it's gone. It's lost.
Very lost.
So, and first off, we always want to say, I know there's a lot of emphasis on private schools and homeschooling. In fact, our family homeschooled at one point. We had our kids in private school at one point. I've got a bunch of grandkids in public education. I come out of a public education background. But our primary focus for the state has to be on making sure that our public schools are doing a good job. And when we've got 6 million school kids, and no matter what you have in place, the vast majority of them. So I don't want people to give up on our public schools. That's the most important thing. We cannot give up. Now, that said, I think, and I'm a little bit of an anomaly on this in Austin, but I think the biggest mistake that was ever made in public education in Texas was giving more authority over what used to be called ISDs, independent school districts. that were locally managed
Amen.
and controlled. I think when the state back in the late 70s and early 80s began more and more to intervene, before I was in the legislature, by the way, began to be more and more take over control of our local school districts, it with each year, it just added more measures, more standards, more tests, and ultimately more bureaucracy to where today our schools, and this is a real problem for them, they're getting a ton of money, but they very legitimately and correctly will say, look, we're having to take half that money and put it into administration to fill out this form, to respond to that report, to prepare for this testing, to do things like that. And so I'm very much in the reverse, turn the ship around and try to push that autonomy and the authority to run schools back down to the local level. You will have some school districts fail, and those are the ones that the state has to go deal with. But painting with this broad brush that creates a giant bureaucracy and locks parents out of the process often.
And the
Because
teachers.
the
The
teachers,
teachers
it-
are even
that's
locked
right.
out of the
Yep.
process.
It builds walls through the bureaucracy,
Yes.
through the enormity of the system. Teachers don't get to teach; they teach the test,
Right.
and they don't like that, and they want to be creative and fun and great.
They're just
great
given more
educators.
paperwork. I've
That's
watched it. I was a teacher for 20 years, watched it all.
There you
Yeah.
go. So the intent is you've got to turn that bus around, and at the end of the day, who do you trust most to make good decisions for your children? Do you trust good teachers and good parents and administrators who have their heart in the right place, or do you trust a committee in Austin, or even worse, one in Washington?
What's your idea on how will you work with the parents? How are you going to bring our voices up there, and empower? It's really about empowering. It's our taxpayer dollars. It's our decision. The problem is that most people don't feel empowered enough to use their voice and take it to that level. How will you work from a grassroots level with the taxpayers to use their voice?
Well, one thing I want to say, you hear from a lot of, and we've got some great school board members in Burleson and all across Johnson County. But
do we?
Well, let me finish that statement, because I'm trying to be friendly and polite here. You do have a lot of good ones. But at the same time, I think one thing I get disappointed in school board members is, and I think they've been taught this by the administrations and by the courses they're required to go to for training. They've been taught that they're very limited in their authority. I'm telling you, they have a lot more authority than they exercise under current Texas law. And parents do as well. And one of the first things I always say to someone who's complaining to me about their local school district is, what are you doing about it? Do you go to the school board meetings? Have you considered running for? It's not that hard to get elected to the school board. I can tell you, Weatherford's a great example. I have seen that school board transform in the recent years. I was on the floor. I was at a football game here, I guess last fall, and I was down on the field, and they're playing Amazing Grace on the band on the field. And I leaned over to one of the school board members, said, "Hey, Amazing Grace." He said, "Yeah." He said, "We're going to tell these kids about Jesus every chance we get." I have kids in Peaster School District, and let me tell you, that is a school district. They ignored all the mandate stuff on the masks, on everything. They just let teachers and parents do what they wanted to do. They did not close school. They did for a 2-week period, but then until it kind of washed out, and then they all came back to school. They saw no difference, but they had the authority to do that. And they called me up a few times, "Phil, what are we going to do?" I said, "Just ignore them. If they said, come try to arrest you, call me. I'll come get you out of jail." But nothing like that happened. They have a lot more authority than they really understand that they have. The parents have that, and so do the school board
I think
members.
this again, even at the school, when we're talking about the school district stuff, and the different levels of government, whether it's county, city, whatever, again, it's lack of communication. And that's what I want to see trickle down from even our state senators to our state representative, is to empower the people to know what's going on,
And to have courage and leadership to do that.
absolutely. And, when you're looking at a school board, and I wasn't dissing any of our school board members, but I do believe that there should be term limits everywhere. So I
Right.
would like to know your thoughts on term limits as well. And even at a school district level, because it's easy to become complacent, and it's also very easy to do the very minimal, to put it out to the public that there is some seats coming available, and also that there is a board meeting going on and that you should attend. I don't believe a lot of people attend here in Burleson. I can't speak for other cities in Johnson County. Joshua was actually a great city that they did their own thing with the mandate. I was
Yeah.
super proud of them.
Yes.
And there was another school district too here in the county that did that too. So it's about empowering. So how will you communicate? Will you remain communicating with the people, town halls, once elected, and that type of thing to really keep engaged with
Sure.
us?
So I represent Parker and Wise counties right now, which is like Decatur, Weatherford, Poolville, parts of Mineral Wells, and actually parts of Fort Worth as it comes into Parker County. I think if you talk to any of the local leaders, any of the community, if we do anything really, really well, it is that we are very, very reachable. We are texting, we are with each other, we are getting calls all times of the hour or night. We are interacting in our communities. One of the first things I will have to do, in fact, because there's 7 counties here that I've never represented before. And one of the first things I'll have to do is to really spend a lot of time in those communities, sitting down with the different leaders, both civic leaders and elected officials, and trying to find out what are the specific issues. It's not just the big education issue or the big transportation issue. It's this particular problem they're having getting something through the Railroad Commission or something through TxDOT or something like that. And you have to learn all those things. And then we do, but we will be very, very engaged. That's the way we've been all my term in office. And really it makes it a lot more fun to serve. And you mentioned, you call it being in politics. I really think I call it public service. I mean, for $600 a month, you're not doing it for a living, right? And you mentioned the term limit thing. I would just put it this way. Of course, I'm term limited every 2 years in the House. In the Senate, you're term limited every 4 years. What I have seen happen in other states, and I've dealt with a lot of legislators from other states, is when you have a mandatory out, what you end up with is the agencies and the bureaucracies running things, because you never build the institutional knowledge that it takes. It's a layered learning process, learning how a city or a county or in particularly a state operates. And so you lose a lot there. But I will also tell you that in the Texas House, it's never been an issue because our average turnover is about 6 years among the membership. So unless you're doing a really good job and staying really in touch with your voters, it's very, very easy for them to remove you.
How long do you plan, or do you have a vision of how long you want to continue serving?
No, absolutely not. What I can tell you is that every time that I'm up for reelection, it's something that Terry and I talk about, we pray about, we talk to people. I never expected to run for Senate. But and I've had a couple of other opportunities, but I've been able to get things done in the House that I've been very pleased with, and had a lot of frustrations with the House. And that's one thing about the Senate. I'm hoping it'll give me some opportunity to work around some of those frustrating points and blockades that I ran into in the House. The Senate will give that larger opportunity to work around those. But it's a deal. I don't know. We're going to stay there as long as God wants us to. And I think he's usually pretty good about making it pretty clear to me when I'm going in a direction he doesn't want.
So we have a question for you. One of the questions from the audience is Jamie Stanford asks, what is the hardest thing you've ever had to do as a state representative?
Well, go up against leadership. There have been several times that the speaker's team and the leadership team was going in a certain direction on something. I can think of a bunch of examples, and to take the opposite position from that. One time I had to challenge the Speaker of the House when Joe Straus was Speaker. I ran against him. That was really the first real challenge he had. We announced for Speaker that running against an incumbent Speaker is something that people do not normally do, but we had some severe differences, and I just felt like things were getting blocked that needed to go through. And so I ran, and now fortunately in that case, about 3 weeks later, he announced he was not going to run for re-election. And then a guy named Dennis Bonnen was elected, beat me out for Speaker. We came close. Dennis had some issues come up and was only allowed to serve one term. And then we have current Speaker Dade Phelan. So I have on several occasions with every speaker we have had taken that leadership on directly. Sometimes I have won. Sometimes I have got busted for doing that. But I think that's the hardest thing is when because it's the temptation is to kind of want to become part of the team, part of the crowd. And what you really have to do is what I call principle-driven leadership. When you're putting deals together, there's nothing wrong with negotiating and putting deals together and trying to compromise and trying to advance the runner. You can't get a home run on everything. You win baseball games with base hits. And so but you can never violate your core principles. And that's the toughest thing, when people want you to do that and you're not willing to do that, and you have to be willing to accept the consequences.
So one of your issues that you have here is property rights. Speaking of that, so to the and you write, the ability to own, manage, and protect your property is a fundamental right. Without secure property rights, we will not have liberty or a vibrant economy. Are you speaking specifically to the property tax issues that we're having here in Texas?
Well, not just that. A few years ago, I carried the legislation that prohibited cities from doing forced annexation, because that was something that in many communities had just been being abused.
Right.
And for them to come in and forcibly take your property, force you into the city, put you under their ordinances and regulations, and put you under their tax structure without any choice of your own. And so we passed. In fact, Johnson County was one of the first 5 counties to have an election to prohibit forced annexation under that new law we passed. So it deals with, and that of course was a right to manage and own your property, but it is also property taxes, and that's all our biggest frustration. In fact, I passed the only real tax cut of this last year was a bill that I was able to carry and pass in the House, and it will cut property taxes about $486 million over the next 5 years. And it was something very specific and necessary for communities like Johnson County, in that it removed the interest on rollback taxes when you go from ag to developing your property or building a house on it, whatever. You have to pay these gigantic back taxes. And so I've had a personal project to whittle that down. We've got it almost whittled down to nothing now over the last 2 terms. So it's taxes, but it's also how you get to control and manage the property that you put your money into.
Own it.
Yeah,
I already own it. I paid for it.
Yeah, that's right.
and I want to do that. Will does that bill have the same effect for, if you're taking ag and turning it into commercial property,
Mm-hmm.
that same rollback is also gone on the
Right.
on the commercial side
So
as well?
That's right. So the way it was set up on any piece of property, when you change the use from ag or wildlife or whatever it was that was getting your property tax exemption, 2 years ago, the tax was 7% compounded interest for 5 years at full value. And it was really holding people back from being able to build a home on their property or be able to develop it into a strip center or whatever they were going to do, housing development, whatever. So 2 years ago, we've been whittling away at it. 2 years ago, we were able to knock that 7% to 5%. We were able to knock that 5 years to 3 years. This time, we took a little bit different approach, and we were able to knock off the interest entirely. So now you just pay the 3 years. So my goal in life is to make sure we get rid of that 3 years altogether, because there is no justification for, just because you've been in an ESD or just because you've been in the ETJ of a city, for when you change your use of that property, if you have to go pay all these back taxes when you were never receiving any services from that entity.
Defending the Second Amendment. This is another issue that you have on here, which I think we should all defend it. But where are you on the red flag laws? Where are you on responsible gun ownership? And that's not really even the way I want to put it. But I mean, the red flag laws. I mean, we do have people who have mental illness issues. It's really hard to be standing in line at Academy and filling out an application for a gun with some kid who works at the store and not understand, okay, what's happening here with the person who's purchasing the gun. What's your best thoughts on that, as to how do we responsibly and reasonably get in touch with the people who are purchasing and who are, they're looking to get it now. I need it now. It's an emergency. And there is no emergency, right? What are your thoughts? How do we control that a little bit better?
Sure. Well, first, you've got to remember Texas, after the laws we passed last year, now there is no state that has stronger Second Amendment protections than Texas. No state at all. Now, also, if you look at the shootings, I was a police officer for 15 years, reserved for another 20. I'm still in the State Guard. If you look at and I used to chair the Homeland Security Committee. And so if you look at our violence with guns, the vast majority of those guns are obtained illegally. They're just bought off the street. So you can have all the red flag laws you want, and that's not going to stop the drug dealer or the gang member from getting that handgun. It's not going to, but there are occasions where people purchase those guns legally, but they usually don't purchase them legally when they are in a mental condition that they should not be hiring a gun. I mean, most of the time, if it's a gun that someone got out of someone's house, a child got their parents' gun and took it to the school, and those horrible things occur, those parents had that gun in the house for a long time. There are so many guns in Texas that the idea of gathering up all the weapons, that could not even physically happen, even if you foolishly wanted it to.
Right.
So you just have to look at the best you can do. The best you can do is encourage public safety, make sure we have laws that put people in jail that need to be in jail. We need mental health, and we've got a lot of work to do on mental health.
Yes, we do. Yes,
but
absolutely.
we need mental health programs to help people where we can and identify them. But I'm just telling you, red flag laws as a general rule just really don't accomplish much.
But you are for, let's get focused on the mental health issues that are causing the problems in the first place. And so I do greatly appreciate that. Thank you for joining us today at this table. I wish
Is it already
it's
over?
done.
Yes.
It happens
Wow.
fast here. And we want to make sure you get to Arlington as fast as you can. If you have questions for Phil King, please go to philking.com. You can reach out to them. They answered us. They'll answer you. I greatly appreciate it and
Yes,
wish
thank
you the
you.
best of luck. And love to have you back at the table
Love
once
to
the
do it.
primary is
Wait.
over.
The important question.
Toilet paper under or over?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Talking about in supply?
When you
No,
put it on the
if you-
roll.
When you put it on the roll, do you?
Is-
Oh,
over?
it's over.
Okay.
over.
Yep,
Yeah.
there we
Did
go.
anybody do it any other way?
Yes,
Yes,
people
there
do.
are. And we have a
What
friend
is-
that
what
likes
is
to
wrong
mess
with
with
those
us.
people? So, yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Phil. We'll be
thank
back
you.
after this break with a non-political guest or non-candidate guest with a Christian school in Cleburne to talk about Thankful Thursday. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-925-7086. 800-925-7086. That's 800-925-7086.
Hey, Jill, congratulations on your son getting into the college of his dreams and with a full scholarship, too. Yes, we are so proud of him. You know, I have to be honest. I'm a bit worried about our daughter getting into college. It's so competitive out there, and I feel overwhelmed with where to start. I completely understand. Listen, I felt the same way. And then I met Dr. Gina of Education Prep Centers. She put a plan in place that helped our son stand out in the admissions process and that gave us a peace of mind for how to create a financial roadmap for his future. Wow, that's great. Sounds like I need to give her a call. Yes, she definitely helped our son find the perfect college, meet all his deadlines, and help us feel less anxious about the whole process. You need to reach out to her. Just check out educationprepcenters.com and set up a complimentary assessment with Dr. Gina. You'll be so glad you did. Education Prep Centers, college admissions made easy.
I would like to personally invite you out to the Blue Family Fund Casino Night. An evening of all your favorite casino games, next level auction items, great music, and an open bar. February 26th, 7 p.m. at the beautiful TX Whiskey Ranch in Fort Worth, Texas. All proceeds from the evening will benefit families of first responders. You need to get your tickets today at bluefamilyfund.org.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
And welcome back to the second hour of JoCo Community Radio. We are doing an extended hour to get some of our non-political and some of our political candidates on air. We are proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and we are live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen, go to tuneinjoco.com and download the free app. All of our shows can also be found on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Spreaker. Check out our lineup and more on JoCoCommunityRadio.com. If you're going to look for a podcast platform, make sure you search by the show title, not by JoCo Community Radio. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your local Texas rep, me, Nona, Reed, at 844-TEX-HELL. That's 844-TEX-HELL.
Hail.
Hail.
Not hell. I don't know if that's your Texas accent or what, but it
probably
is.
is.
It sounds like you're saying Tex hail.
Hail.
Hell. And it's hail.
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 It's the accent. I can't help it. Sorry.
As in large
yes,
rocks of ice.
not going somewhere.
Somewhere we don't want to go. Oh God, I'm sorry. That tickled me. Well, welcome back to the second half of JoCo Vibes here on JoCo Community Radio. It's a bonus hour because we've had some really amazing people join the table this week, including our next guest, a non-candidate for office.
Or are you running?
I'm running somewhere. It's about that time of year.
Introduce yourself to the people listening on the radio.
Hi. Well, first off, Nona, Tiffany, thank y'all for having me. This is
It's
exciting.
our pleasure.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
so excited to be here. But I'm Elizabeth Carmona. My official title is Community Connections Director for Cleburne Christian Academy. And so basically what I do is just try to get out in the community, bring awareness of CCA, the exciting things that are happening on campus, and then try to get our community involved.
I love it. I when you reached out to me, I had actually said I had not heard of the school.
Right.
So I was super excited to have you. I was like, yes, get to the table. Come on. So CCA is a private, non-denominational, nonprofit Christian school located in Cleburne, Texas, which is 30 miles for those listening outside of the area, 30 miles southwest of Fort Worth. CCA supports a student population of approximately 70 students. Is that still way
No,
more?
yes.
Someone needs to update the
She
website.
said- yeah.
How many students?
We do. So we're right at about almost 120 students. And I'll tell you something that I've recently taken on at CCA. Just another hat is being their admissions coordinator. And I think I'm averaging about 3 enrollments or 3 tours for prospective families a week.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
So we are growing.
Her and I were talking yesterday.
Yeah, I have a feeling that more and more people are jumping ship from our public schools right now. And Phil King, was talking. We don't want to get rid of our public school system, obviously, but we want to make it better.
Right.
And maybe the private Christian academies, such as Cleburne Christian Academy, can help be a part of that leadership too.
Right.
So there's that too. But you guys serve K through 12?
We do. We are fully accredited. We actually serve K3 through 12. So 3 years old, fully potty trained. They can come on board with us, and all the way up to 12th grade.
So the K3 is like that's like
Preschool.
preschool.
Mhm.
Preschool.
Right.
Okay.
But it's not a daycare. It is most definitely a preschool. There is a curriculum that is taught.
Now, this school has this been here since before 1989?
Yeah. So, well, in 1989 was when CCA broke ground. Something that's kind of bittersweet, and this is, I think, why a lot of people don't know about CCA is we're kind of hidden. But also, several years ago, they were actually looking at closing the door. About 6 years ago, we only had about 16 students.
Wow. What happened?
I know. The Lord.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I will say, I've been with CCA for 5 years. The first 4 years I was in a classroom. I taught kindergarten and first grade for CCA. And I loved it. I loved being in the classroom. But I think our leadership saw something different in me. And that's something that I try to share with our families. Something that we're diligent in as teachers is seeking the giftings of our students. How can we foster the way they learn, the things that they're into, the giftings that these children have, and help them in that. And I think my leadership saw something different in me, and so now I'm the community connections director. And it's nothing I never would have sought this position.
What do you think your school does differently than, let's say, your average public school, as far as curriculum driven, other than the faith aspect, obviously? That's there. We know that's the big one of your biggest differences, right? But as far as, cognitive thinking training, where are you? Where's your school on that perspective?
So I think we do a couple things different. And part of that is because we are such a small school, it lends itself to that. And we will always keep that. We hold a 12-to-1 student teacher ratio. What that does is that allows us to build relationships with those students, get to know them, get to know where their struggles are. When you're in a classroom of 23 students, it's hard. It's hard to do that at an elementary level. Then you jump up to middle school and you've got 6 classes of 23 students and
23 plus.
23 plus with no aid, bless their hearts. And so I think we have the ability to really see where a child might be struggling.
Does your school have a max out student level? Or will CCA let it grow as it grows and add more teachers? Does it have what's that capacity?
So right now, and we're kind of in the silent phase, which I guess this isn't going to be very silent now that we're on air, but we're in the silent phase of a capital campaign because we're bursting at the seams. Because
that's a great thing.
It is.
Congratulations.
It's a great problem, but it's a problem nonetheless. And so we are working with builders at the moment and getting those plans put together because we're almost at max capacity. Definitely our elementary classes, we almost hold a weight there. And I can tell you, like I said, with the interviews that I've had, we're going to need to be breaking up that pre-K classroom into 2 separate rooms because there's just so much interest. And some of these parents are coming in for next year and they're so excited to get started. They asked if they could go ahead and start right away. And of course.
And as a private school, you do not have to live in Cleburne
No.
to be a student at your academy. So
No, we have families that come in from Arlington, from Mansfield. There's another family that's coming over from, oh goodness. It's not Venus. It's
Mars. No. Is it Keene?
No.
I'm trying to think of where.
Midlothian.
Midlothian. Okay.
Yes.
I was about to start naming the ones over there.
That was a good one. Though. I like that one, Tiffany.
Well, I had to put sorry.
Where'd you go to school? I'm kidding.
Dumb joke. Bum, bum. I actually went to a private Christian school in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
From 2nd grade through 7th grade. And then we moved. We moved to another town. So you actually had to live in the town in order to. Actually, that's not true. I think it was just because they didn't want to have to drive over there to just let me finish my 8th grade. But that's a whole other story. So I actually went from private Christian school to. So I was just to give the background because I think this is important with yours being a non-denominational. I think this is important for Christians who are looking to enroll their children. I was a Protestant going to a Catholic school and who was raised in a Bible church. So if you understand the dynamics of those three things, it's difficult, because at first they tried to keep us from coming they tried to block us from being able to go to their church because they said we weren't Catholic. And that's where my mom said, no, you're deemed a private Christian school.
Yes.
So they had to let us in. And I'm so glad, because it's such a different dynamic to go. And I considered that when I moved here and started to raise my children. And the only reason I didn't enroll them in a private Christian school was because the school district was so good when we moved here. That's what I was being told. I was like, oh, okay.
Nice.
And, but things change over the years.
Right.
And so, now I'm going, I should have made that leap. I should have done what my parents did. And not that things don't happen within the private school, District 2. Stuff happens, kids happen, hormones are happening too. And all these changes,
Absolutely.
you're going through the same thing. It's just that you have a biblical basis.
Right. Everything that we do is kind of how I explain it is it's going to be through the lens of the gospel. And I do want to clarify, because we do have a lot of families that'll call in and they want some clarity on what does it mean that you're non-denominational. And so basically what that is that everything that we teach is going to be gospel centered, right? We're not directly linked to a church. And so honestly, this is where the community help comes in. We are able to do what we do because of the support and the sponsorships that we've had from our community. Our tuition is very low. Our teachers are not, they can go somewhere else and probably get paid a lot more. Yeah. But we fully see this as a ministry opportunity and as a mission. What we do is a mission. We are a local mission. And we hope that the churches will begin to view us that way and begin to give us some support in that regard.
So I'm gonna pull some of this off of your website for those that are listening, because it is very affordable. Actually, your prices are K through second grade is roughly $4,700 a year. Third through fifth is $5,200 a year, and there's other numbers in there, so don't quote me. I'm just trying to make this faster. Sixth through 12th is $5,700 a year, and then there's a $250 book registration fee. And I wanted to mention that because I love the fact that you have books.
Yes, a lot of Here's the thing. Yes, we want our children to be up to date with the technology, and we offer that opportunity to them. But guess what? Not every student learns best on a computer.
Exactly.
Having the hard copy and things to underline and things to highlight. Yes, we are back, and we've never moved away from textbooks and workbooks.
Were you listening to our show yesterday when we had on Evelyn Brooks? She's running for State Board of Education member for District 14, which now encompasses Johnson County. Great person to connect with.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were talking about was specifically that I have a challenge as a parent. She has a challenge as a parent of seeing our kids on a computer all day long. The computer is now teaching them, and they're not touching a book ever. And we all learn differently.
Right.
I don't feel we're addressing that. So I love to hear that your school is addressing that.
Right.
You also give the school does give discounts too.
Oh, well, let me yes.
Is it the same as what's on here?
Aside from even just those discounts, which I'll let you share that. But I do want to just throw this out there because, again, it is our heart to be able to serve our community. And when I say we are a mission, we are truly a mission. We are a ministry. CCA has given over $500,000 in scholarships to families.
Wow.
We don't ever want that number to deter somebody, especially when there's issues that are going on in the schools that are just not either being addressed or they're wanting to transition out of homeschool.
So out of as a ministry, being that you're not attached to a church, and for those that don't understand the difference, when a private Christian school is attached to a church, a lot of funding comes through the church.
Yes.
It comes through the tithing basket. As a standalone Christian school, you don't have that base support of a congregation.
We do not.
So that's huge. So when you're giving away 500,000 scholarships over all these years, where's that funding coming from?
Well,
Donations.
Yes, donations, support from the community.
Now, do you get any grants are there grants available from the state for the school, or how does that work?
You know, it's really hard. We've gotten a couple of grants. We recently got a technology grant. And so kind of what I've seen, and again, I've just recently stepped into this role, so I've been able to kind of see more of the administrative side of CCA. But what I've noticed is in the grants that we have received, it's all allocated stuff. And so where we have needs, for example, we didn't have a bunch of computers, and we are so thankful for the opportunity that we have to be able to provide our students with computers in each of the classrooms. And so that was a huge step for CCA as far as grants to then be able to give out to the families, scholarships in that regard. We don't. We do have an opportunity at our charity event that's coming up to give specifically to that.
So I'm going to talk about these discounts really quick, and then I want us to dive into this event that's coming up, which sounds super fun. If you are a full-time pastor or a minister, you get a 33% discount for each child that attends. That's amazing.
Right.
That's a big discount. Military first responders get a 25% discount. You can do a one-time payment for the full year, which gives you a 10% discount. There's an opportunity to get 5%. 2 payments per semester gives you other discounts, smaller discounts. And of course, you get a multiple student discount too. So you get a 5% discount if you're enrolling additional students. But remember, you can apply for the scholarship. How do you apply for a scholarship to your school?
So essentially, we have the families come in, they talk to us, they take a tour of the school, we kind of get to know their needs. And then at that point, our head administrator will meet with the board members. We do have an independent board of directors. Every organization needs that. And I do want to say I'm thankful for our board. They pour into our school greatly. And so they meet with them, and then we come back with how we can help that family. And all that, I would say, if it's anything that interests you and come into our school, get with us sooner than later so that we start keeping record of, and then we get in contact.
And I love it. You give a $250 referral family to any new families who enroll. So there's lots of opportunities to get discounts to attend Cleburne Christian Academy, which is a biblically based academically excellent private school in Cleburne, Texas, for anyone who's just joining. There's ways to help. Again, they're an independent school, so they thrive off of fundraising. And of course, tuition obviously helps, but fundraising is a big thing. So, because there is no congregation behind you, let's talk about this event, which is a fundraiser that's coming up.
So we've got our annual spring auction coming up on Friday, February the 25th. It'll be out at the Springs Alvarado. You can find more details on our website regarding that. But it's a live and silent auction event. The menu is phenomenal. We've got executive chef Randy Ishii with Ishii's Catering Services catering that event for us. We'll have live music by a Fort Worth local native, Joseph Neville, who's coming, and he's just phenomenal too. And then we've just got some really incredible things to auction off. I mean, we've got a variety of things from vitamin shop packs to get family game night packages. And all of the proceeds go to CCA. A couple things I do want to mention regarding our event is Cleburne Ford. We're so thankful for the support that they have given to us. They are our event sponsors. We truly could. Bobby De La Garza and Cindy De La Garza are just amazing people. Go and see them if you're looking for a car. I love them dearly. And then our venue sponsors. We had an organization or a group, Ulrich Realty Group, sponsor the venue this year for us. It's a beautiful venue. And then the support that our families pour into that. But that is just one way that you could partner with us. We'll be doing an ATV raffle there as well that night. And tickets are $50, not expensive. For the meal you're getting, the entertainment you're getting, door prizes will be a part of that ticket purchase. It's just a really incredible night, and you'll get to hear a lot of the exciting things that are happening at CCA, the growth that we've experienced, the programs and partnerships that we've gained with people in the community.
So where can people go to buy tickets?
So you can go on our website, and actually, now that I think about it,
I was looking for it.
I was there.
Yeah, there's not a link on the website. So that's what I was looking for. For those who are listening on the radio, ccacleburne.org is the website to get to the school. There, you do have a Facebook page and there's an event page for it.
Right. There is an event. I'd say the best thing is shoot me an email, ecarmona@ccacleburne.org. Or you can also give me a call, 682-916-7588. Shoot me a text, give me a call. There's Venmo options. There's, you could pay at the door as well. Tickets will be available for purchase at the door.
Tell us that number one more time,
682-916-7588.
And your email, ecarmona.
Yes, ecarmona@ccacleburne.org.
I'm trying to type. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time and spell correctly. So I want to read this back to everybody so everybody understands where to go to buy these tickets. There is an event page on Facebook, but I don't think the information's on there, but we're going to share that with you. If you are looking to get tickets for this event on February 25th, live auction dinner, lots of fun, live music, you can get those by calling 682-916-7588, or you can email Elizabeth at ecarmona, that's ECARMONA, just like it sounds, at ccacleburne.org to get your tickets. We're also going to include links if you're going to watch the replay or if you're watching live. All of these links are in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, and it doesn't show up on LinkedIn and Twitter, but hey, you watch the show and you'll get all the information. Just listen back. But you do have a Facebook page as well where you share this information.
Yes.
What else is it that you want to share with people about? Talk about your students. Can you tell us about the students and this growth? When I said when I kind of got shocked when you said that it dropped down to 16 students at one point, and that was what, 6 years ago, I think you said. What happened that it dropped to 16? Do you know what happened?
I don't know the details of everything that happened. I think there was some shifts in our economy. There was some shifts. There used to be a partnership with the homeschool group. And again, I don't know the details, so I want to be mindful with my words. But I will say, if you were ever a part of CCA and you left for whatever that reason is, and you're still interested in Christian education, come and give us a shot, because I can guarantee you that the CCA 6 years ago is not what CCA is today. I mean, the culture of our school is so unique. Our children, I had the opportunity, I'm a part of Leadership Cleburne as well. And last week we had Education Day, and I had the opportunity to go and tour the high school and their new technology center. And then I had to give a tour at CCA after that, directly following that. And I was so discouraged, but I was so encouraged by the community, by the members of Leadership Cleburne, because they walked on campus and they got to see CCA, because nobody was warned that we were coming except for don't use the gym. None of these students were prompted and, mind your P's and Q's or anything. And all of them said, you want to look different, you want to be different, and you do, and we see that and we feel the energy here, and it's there's so much love, and we're a little school with a lot of love, and we're purposeful in that, and I feel like it has been so sweet to see the school grow in the way that it has grown, and so organically grown, and having the opportunity to pour into these students to cultivate in them what we as staff members are being trained up in as well. And I think that's one of the biggest keys is our leadership. Our head administrator, John Turner, which if he's listening, he's going to say, "Why did you say my name?" Hey, John. But he's very intentional in how he pours into us, and our professional development, our curriculum coordinator even. And that's something too I want to share is our curriculum coordinator. We have our own standards. We're not bound by TEA. Of course, we're a private school. But our curriculum coordinator has taken the TEKS and state standards and mirrored that. through Christian education to make sure that our students, if they are not at the very least meeting, they are exceeding the expectations, because we do have families that have to transition out. And so, again,
you mentioned something that we hadn't talked about yet, and this was a conversation that you and Nona had gotten into yesterday, and that was that you do have a homeschool program.
So yes, so what we do is we are part-time. We offer part-time to all families, whether that's because they're homeschooling and they want to come and maybe take a course on campus. We're here to serve our community. And so sometimes mom and dad, like I share with them, maybe they can't teach biology, and that's really hard for them. But their child needs that credit to obtain their high school diploma. Give us a call and let's see how we can work with you. We would be happy to serve you in that way. And there's just so much opportunity at CCA that I think people just don't know, and you don't know unless you call and give us a shot.
So if you're going to go into the homeschool program, is there a cost difference between being a full-time in-school student versus the homeschool program?
So the homeschooling program would be all ran by the family. Everything that they do through homeschooling. We had a student last year, actually the last couple of years, there was a couple courses. And as far as fees go, that's something that just gets visited. I mean, every situation is going to be so different.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will say something that's been really interesting is when we have had families say, well, we want to be here for one course, or we only want to come part-time 3 days a week. Most of our kids end up coming full-time because they just love it.
So do you have a daily Bible class for each student?
Yeah.
And do they attend a church together once a week, or how does that part work?
So Wednesdays we have whole school-wide chapel Wednesday mornings, and that's open. Reach out to us if that's something that you want to explore and just see how that goes. Join us. We'd love to have you guys. But Wednesday we do school-wide chapel together. Every other day they're in class. We've done a couple things, particularly up in the high school level, upper level. There was a day where we designated to separate the boys and the girls, because let's just face it, our boys and our girls are going through some different things, and the girls are not going to open up in front of the boys, and there's some truths that the girls need to learn and truths that the boys need to hear as well, that we can't do when we're together. And so we really try to foster that in our students. But Bible is taught every day. And something that's kind of funny that I do always share is it's amazing what you can do on the playground with the gospel, because we see through the gospel lots of conflict, right? And on that playground, you see lots of conflict.
Absolutely.
You've got a bunch of selfish little sinners, and
yeah,
everybody.
Hey, that's at the adult level too, by the way.
Absolutely. And so it is just a sweet opportunity, and we try to tell that to the teachers that are incoming. Just wait till you get on the playground. And at the beginning of the school year, we did like a mock argument between two teachers, and it was me and one of the other teachers, and the teacher's like, okay, let me handle this situation, and the other teacher's like, well, no, and keeps butting in, and it's just like you see on the playground, and really just trying to get to the heart of the issue. What's
conflict
going on
resolution from a Christian perspective is so important.
Awesome. Right.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
For having
See
me.
how quick that went?
That was so quick.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Larry Woolley, ccacleburne.org.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
She sent me a message.
My mom did?
Yeah, Wednesday night, and she invited me over tomorrow night to watch Titanic and share a bowl of popcorn. And I accepted.
You did?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
And she calls it Chaps Only Night. Every Saturday night.
Look.
Miss Dixie,
Look,
how you doing? He said, it's my mom, bro. All right, it's my mom.
I want to hear the answer to the Titanic and popcorn. Go ahead, Mom. What's up?
Oh!
Hi, boys. I just wanted to ask Rocky if he wanted butter on that popcorn or not.
I would rather have the butter somewhere else, but if popcorn's the only place I can have it, I'll take it.
Jeez,
hey,
dude.
Nobody says I can't roll around in it for a little bit.
All right, Mom.
That is
love
my girl.
You.
I love you,
Mom.
Dixie.
Abnormal realities.
My mom, love you.
Dixie.
Bye, I love you too.
With Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Holy crap.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleburne, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleburne, Texas. Owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store. They got you covered.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leech Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleburne, Texas. Leech Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Huh? Yes.
We on yet?
Yep.
I still got
You sound fun. Welcome back to the second half of the second hour.
Bonus hour.
Yes, the bonus hour of JoCo Community Radio. We are proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and we are live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen, go to tuneinjoco.com and download the free app. Soon we'll have an Android app, and then right after that,
iOS.
Yes,
Yes.
iOS.
It's all ready to go.
The Android will come out first. All of our shows can also be found on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Spreaker. Just search in the search engine the name of the show, not JoCo Community Radio. Check out our lineup and more on JoCoCommunityRadio.com. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriots Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed.
That's you.
844 text. Hail.
You are
Hail.
still Nona Reed. Welcome back to the last half hour of the bonus hour of JoCo Vibes. We've extended a couple of days here. We wanted to be able to. It's the first week of early voting. We wanted to make sure we could try and get as many candidates to the table as possible. So we've squeezed everybody in these half hours. And Mr. Larry Woolley, the current Precinct 4 commissioner, is joining us at the table now. Good morning, Mr. Woolley. How are you?
Great. Good morning. How
It's
are you
good to
guys?
have you here at the table again. I think the last time you were here, we were swapped. I was on that side of the table, and you came in tall with your hat on, and I was like, I like the look of this guy. I mean, who doesn't like a guy in a cowboy hat? Let's be real. So, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And I know you're still a little bit under the weather. So, again, I really appreciate you coming.
Yes.
We're in the midst of the first week, like we just said, of early voting. You can vote anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 8 early voting locations: Cleburne Conference Center, Elections Office on Walnut and Cleburne, Burleson Sub Courthouse, Alvarado Sub Courthouse, Precinct 4 Barn, Precinct 3 Barn, Godley City Hall, and the Venus Community Center. Get out and vote. It's the most important thing you can do as an American, is to get out and vote at all levels. And Larry, you've been the precinct commissioner for how many years now?
Just a little over 7 years. I took office January 1st, 2015.
2015. And you've been here. You were here during the last reelection. I think it was when you came to the table. It wasn't 2015. It was.
I'm not sure when I was here. It may have been after that election.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely after the 2015. I know that. So, tell me what it is that in the 7 years that you've been in this position that makes you want to stay in this position.
Great question. And the answer is real simple. We have so much in motion right now. Of course, we have such a unprecedented growth rate in this county. I moved here in this county in 1982, and there were 73,000 people here. Now there's over 180,000 people. And 20,000 of those have come in the last 5 years. So the growth is unbelievable. The things that we have in motion as far as, new families moving in,
one of the big things we've got going on now is this ARPA funding that we've received from the federal government. Just a little over $34 million is coming into Johnson County. Cities and school districts are all receiving a similar portion, but being able to utilize that and funnel that money into different agencies, small business relief, governmental purposes, whatever it may be. We just have a lot of things in motion that require, in my opinion, require experience on the Commissioner's Court that has seen the historical things that take place there and be able to forecast and work in the positive way in the future for future generations. I always say every decision that I make and that Commissioner's Court makes doesn't just affect this current, what's happening today. It affects future generations.
So that ARP money that's coming in, where can or where does the county plan to distribute those funds?
Okay, some of the current plans are one current plan is we're going to take a portion of that money, and we've got to build a new dispatch center. Our dispatch center is probably just somewhat larger than this room, and we've got the consoles we're maxed out on consoles. The dispatchers are shoulder to shoulder. It's a COVID nightmare. When one gets it, they all get it, and it's become outdated, in the past. So that is a burning need that we're going to have to address. Our plan is to build a standalone 911 call center. There's some property we own in between the sheriff's office and the emergency operations center there on Kilpatrick. We'll build a standalone building there to house a new and improved 911 dispatch center. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at. We're also receiving on a daily basis applications from nonprofits, most of which, and we've received a couple of requests from small municipalities with some water and sewer projects, and those qualify for that ARPA funding. So we'll be ranking those and prioritizing those and providing awards to those. Now, there's also a portion of that $34 million that is kind of a carve-out section, and it's based on the lost revenue that we experienced during COVID in terms of fines and fees, court costs, those kind of things, because the whole court system was shut down. That equates to, our auditor's current estimate is almost $13 million. That can be used for any governmental purpose. Well, and I pitched to the Commissioner's Court, let's take a major portion of that, put it in road and bridge, and let's get some major projects done where we can sub out some of these major thoroughfare county roads that are in dire need of repair, that are so hard for us to do because of the traffic numbers, just the sheer volume. We can sub those jobs out, pay for it with this federal money, and get them in, get them done, and get through. And I think there's no question that all four of us commissioners are on that same page. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. We're excited about that. And we are, I feel certain we'll be moving forward with that.
With all the different candidates that we've had at the table over the past couple of weeks, a very big part of our conversation has been the lack of communication from the county level to the people. Do you see the same? Do you see that as still as the same issue, that there's a lack of communication from the people, lack of accessibility? People, a lot of people don't watch the meetings and they don't know that they can watch them. I didn't know I could watch them online. I now know, and I'm going to be watching. Right. But I've also been warned that they're very, very, very laborious. And so
sometimes they are, yes, they can be quite long. Our meetings are open to the public. We meet every second and fourth Monday morning at 9:00 at the historical courthouse, downtown Cleburne. They're open meetings, public meetings. We have a public comment section. And even if there's an item on the agenda that a public person has a comment on, we take those comments as well.
So you can do an online comment card, or do you have to pre-submit it?
There's not an online.
Okay, it's just in person. Okay, it's just in person.
And and typically people take advantage of that. I mean, there's a segment early in our agenda. You don't have to wait all day. It's not at the end of the day. It's at the first of the meeting, and we take those meetings are public. We've been broadcasting those meetings since mid-October of 2015 is one of the first things happened whenever I came on. Big believer in that. I thought that should have been done long ago, but we were able to do it. We have a high quality broadcast. All those videos are archived, and along with an accompanying agenda that you can go and search through those archived agendas and pull up those videos and see exactly what the discussion entailed.
So one of the things that your opponent has talked about is updating the technology accessibility, maybe creating an app for the taxpayers to be able to communicate better with the commissioners and with even the county judge. What's your feelings on how we can update that and streamline it so that the doors of communication are busted open way bigger than they are?
We actually there is a reporting maintenance request form online that goes through our IT department handles that, and then they send those requests to us online. So that exists already. As far as an app goes, our Emergency Operations Center has an app. It's emergency operation. You can Google your app store and or search your app store and find that, but it gives you road closures. It gives, people can report accidents, report fires, all that kind of thing. So that already exists as well. Of course, our dispatch, our phones at our office are manned, 7 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and our dispatch center, our non emergency number is always open to taking those calls. And then if there's an issue with the road in the middle of the night, and one thing I've learned as a commissioner, trees don't fall over at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They fall over at 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's the truth.
So we get those calls because we have to go immediately and clear those roadways. But those issues, either the sheriff's office gets a hold of us, or someone contacts the sheriff's office and the dispatch gets that to us. So it's I would say it's, with our emergency operations app, our problem reporting or maintenance request form that we do have online, we have that in existence. Our website is a wealth of information, and it's, you may have to click 2 or 3 times to find what you need, but we have minutes, Commissioner's Court minutes, all the way back, archived all the way back to 1854. It's
yeah,
actually,
I find stuff.
It's actually kind of
I do find stuff. You just got to know where to look.
Some of those are really interesting. They're all handwritten and they're scanned in. The search function doesn't work on those handwritten documents, but anything that's digital, from the digital age forward, in other words, I can type in that search function, County Road 300, and see any court action that was ever taken place on County Road 300 in minutes from this day all the way to the past.
So I'm looking, I guess I haven't been on the emergency management page in quite a while, I guess. And so it is really good to see there's a lot of readiness that's on here, readiness programs for the city. There's what we were talking about with one of the county judge candidates was responsibility from a county level. And I'd love to know what your take is on this. And looking back at last year when we went through Snowmageddon, as everybody was calling it, there were a lot of people who were super unhappy and angry that they felt that the city should be responsible for making sure people had backup generators and a safe place to go. And that trickles up to the higher levels of government. What is your thoughts on where that responsibility lies? And this is truly not a trick question. I really want to know. I mean, I have my own personal thoughts on it, and I don't think it relies on the government. We can't rely just on that. But where do you think the county can help or should help in emergency situations like that?
So our emergency management director, Jamie Moore, does an excellent job.
Yes, he does.
He and his staff. He worked closely. I talked to Jamie every day during that event, sometimes multiple times a day. And he worked closely with the cities, the school districts, in coordinating whatever efforts was going on. The primary thing that we were trying to address was water. We had truckloads of water that the county organized and coming into the county, and we were distributing those water pallets of water out at volunteer fire departments. I even took one of my water trucks to distribute non-potable water just for, toilet flushing, animal livestock water and that type of thing. As far as who's responsible, I think we're all responsible. I think we're all become personally responsible for ourselves. Number one, cities and counties, I think we work together very well on that. Some things we did learn during that, we had a major after event meeting with all the entities and all the first responder agencies, and some things that we learned. Number one, diesel generators, the generators that we have backing up the power to our 911 towers, diesel jails when it stays 0 degrees for several days. Mm-hmm. So we had, we've learned some lessons there on how to treat fuel and how to be preventive on some of these things, and possibly looking at, we have one generator that's powered on liquid propane. Getting the propane truck to the tank, though, was an issue.
Right.
So, there was a lot of coordination on that. One thing, I talk a lot about, one other thing that was an eye opener for me. Our ambulance contractor, AMR, had multiple calls with people that were out of electricity that have an in-home oxygen generating system. Well, they were out of oxygen. They needed oxygen. So we found that as a major shortfall that, that sometimes didn't get taken care of, but it's something that, we've developed an after action plan. There was a lot of great ideas that came about that. None of us have ever, in my lifetime, we never lived through anything like that in Central Texas. One of the things that I talk a lot about relationships. I've lived here for 40 years, built a lot of relationships over my professional career. Sometimes knowing who to call and who to get with is a major thing. Between Jamie Moore and myself and our county extension agent, Justin Hale, we put together a big effort with the assistance of Sid Miller from Texas Department of Agriculture, who was an old college buddy of mine, Dr. Monty Dozier with Texas AgriLife Extension, and Texas Department of Emergency Management. We had livestock. Even though Johnson County is an urban county now, there's still a lot of people who have small tracts and have livestock. Every feed mill in the state of Texas, that weather shut them down. The feed store was as bare as the grocery store,
right?
So when those people went to the feed store, they had nothing. They were coming up short. We organized 2-day square bale hay giveaway. It was a Saturday, Sunday effort. We got organized. We set it up at the Sheriff's Posse grounds there in Cleburne, and we weren't going to notify the public until I saw that truck come in, because I wanted to make sure this was going to work. And as soon as we saw that truck come in, we had several social media accounts going, and by the end of the day, we gave away a semi-truckload of hay, to the point where we felt like we needed another load the next day. So we took care of several hundred animal, people that had livestock. 2 semi-loads of hay in 2 days was very, very well received. And we were the only county in Texas that did anything like that.
Wonderful. And thank you guys for doing that. You really did do a good job. I remember seeing those, the posts for that. What, talking about having, 40-year relationships with people here in Texas and in Johnson County, which can be very beneficial. At the same time, people will say, well, we got to break up the good old boys club in Johnson County. So what's your response to that? What are your thoughts on the good old boys club?
It's kind of a buzzword that has been used for many years. And I don't know that a lot of people, perception is one thing, but I just do not see. I mean, like I said earlier, every decision I make, I make based on future generations. I've lived here for 40 years. I've established a lot of friendships. I've built over the last 7 years in Commissioner's Court. I've established a lot of professional relationships with cities, municipalities, state and federal agencies. I don't see that as a good old boy club. I see it as building lasting relationships and building an effective network.
What are your goals going forward, staying in this position? As far as, making other changes. Again, I can't help but come back to the communication issue. What can we do differently? What can we create that really gets people more involved at the county level? Because people really aren't very involved in the county level unless they're calling up to complain, like you said about the giant pothole or the tree that fell down at 2 a.m. Right. But we have other issues. We've got taxing issues. We have budgeting issues. So how do we open up that communication? How do we make people feel more comfortable to come to you or to come to the Commissioner's Court? How do we do that?
As far as feeling comfortable to come to Commissioner's Court, I'm not exactly sure how to address that. It's very common for people to come. They utilize that. My policy has always been open door. My door is open all the time. People come in. I take phone calls. Half the county has my cell phone number. It's as far as improving, people just need to understand. Call us. We're there for you. We work for the public. We have a commitment to return calls. We have a commitment to communicate with the public and receive those calls. As far as improving that, education, I've kind of had a little traveling roadshow here for the past 6 or 8 weeks, going to Lions clubs, chambers, different a breakfast fellowship group here in Burleson. It's about a 30-minute PowerPoint that I present on how county government works and how it's funded and whatnot. And it's been so well received that list is growing and on people that are requesting for me to come give that. And I think that's just one step in getting out. I go to a lot of chamber luncheons. I make myself available, and almost at every one of those, I have conversations with people, say, hey, what do we need to do about this? What are we going to do about this? So, I think availability is something that I've capitalized on.
How do you feel about town halls? What if?
It's pretty much what those presentations have turned into that I've been doing, because I always end with interaction and receive a lot of those. So basically, that's pretty much what those have been, is town halls.
One of the things that was mentioned was the time of day that the Commissioner Court meetings occur, 9 a.m. on a Monday. Most people are at work, so they can't watch live. Obviously, they could go back and watch the replays, the archives of them, but that's less interaction. Would the Commissioner's Court be open to moving the time of the meetings that would be more convenient for more people to actually get involved while it's live?
There may be, if there's a special set of circumstances surrounding a meeting, I would certainly be open to moving, specific meetings. Pretty much every Commissioner's Court in the state of Texas meets on the same
same day.
Some of
Same
them
day, same
meet
time.
every week. But Monday we didn't wrap up our meeting till after 4:00.
Yeah, that's a long meeting,
and most of them are. We have, there's so much going on right now that it just those would be long meetings if we didn't start them until 7 or 7:30 at night.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I asked. What is it that keeps it at that time?
And it requires so many employees to be involved in that meeting process too, that make presentations and are involved in that as well.
Is there an email list that taxpayers can join to where they can receive an update? I know there's we have access and we can go click on the agendas, again, the challenge is most people aren't paying attention. So it's how do we get it out there to get people to pay attention to what's going on and to say, hey, reminder, there's a meeting coming up. So if you've got an issue, or if this issue is important to you, because not everybody going to every city council meeting or commissioners meeting, it's not for everyone unless you're really looking for information. We tend to do it here at the radio station, so we know what's going on. But the average person isn't going to have interest in every meeting.
Our meeting agendas are posted on our website, and a lot of people will contact me saying, hey, I see this is on this agenda. What about this? Those are posted. Usually they're posted by sometime that Thursday morning prior to that Monday meeting. So they're posted several days in advance according to the Open Meetings Act. As far as an active email list that goes out that distributes that, there is an email list that goes out to entities and specific people, but as far as the public, there is not.
Okay.
They would need to go to our website, look at those posted agendas, and they are, they're posted several days in advance.
Okay. So we've got a minute and a half left, and I want to make sure that you tell people what is important about you remaining in this position.
Well, I think experience matters. Now, I think it is more important right now than ever before to have people with proven leadership ability and experience in a commissioner's court function in retaining those folks on the court, because we have so much, the historical knowledge that institutional knowledge that I bring to the table is so valuable in helping us move forward in this process. I just think that cannot be duplicated. And if I have one more point I'd like to make as far as taxing, I know there's been a lot of chatter about tax and budgets and that kind of thing. I want to point out something that isn't necessarily reflected in the budget. We fund the entire road and bridge function for all 4 precincts on a little over a 4-cent tax. Precinct 4 gets 27% of that. So I get just a little over a penny in tax rate. That doesn't generate a whole lot of money. There's also some fees that come with that, but that budget is impacted. I've tried to utilize grant funds. We've impacted our budget with a tremendous amount of TxDOT grant money to offset some of what should, had historically been taxpayer funded. We're getting that coming from state and federal agencies. When I hear the music. So.
I know, but I'd love to have you back so we can, and honestly, more on a regular basis so that we can discuss these issues.
Sure.
We talked about this the last time, and then it just, I haven't stayed on top of it, but I'd love to have you back.
Be happy to
and each of the commissioners, obviously you can't be here at the same time as we know, unless two of you are having lunch and you don't discuss any business. We get it. Thank you for joining us. If anybody has questions for you still, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Email pct4@johnsoncountytx.org, and our office number is 817-558-9400.
Thanks, Larry. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you guys for staying with us. We'll see you back here next Tuesday morning on JoCo.
No, Tuesday we got Project.
Oh, Tuesday. We won't be back here till Wednesday. You're right. So have a great week. Be kind.
Bye.
Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone numbers